Welcome back, Ghoul Gang, for yet another nightmare-fueled diversion into the Whoniverse. Today I want to cover one of the very finest episodes the new series has to offer. Now, admittedly, I am not a fan of Series 9 on the whole, and I was getting very fed up with Stephen Moffat's direction for the show at this point, but then, just like the TARDIS, out the blue we were hit with a game changer, and the best episode he was able to conjure up in years. Heaven Sent, despite being totally lowered of importance in its follow-up episode Hellbent, can be watched as a standalone as one of the most powerful metaphors in the show's history. At the end of the previous episode, Face the Raven, the Doctor's long-term companion Clara was killed, and now the Doctor has been teleported to a mysterious castle. The entire reason for him being there is to find a way out, while also going head-to-head with this episode's nightmare fuel source, the Veil. The Veil is based on one of the Doctor's childhood nightmares, where an old woman died and was covered in veils, but her body decayed and flies came to pick away at it. That's pretty creepy to begin with, but in Heaven Sent, the Veil acts as a vessel for a fear a lot of us have had, something slowly but surely coming to kill you. This is signified in the Doctor's opening monologue, where he discusses from the moment you were born, something else is born simultaneously that attaches itself to you, following you no matter how far you run, and will always get you in the end, meaning death. But in the context of the episode, it also relates to how the Veil acts. It very slowly limps its way towards the Doctor, and if it reaches him, it'll mean his death. Because of this, there are plenty of jump scares where the Doctor doesn't know when the Veil is going to pop up. The best examples are when the Doctor finds the room with a grave in it that is intended to be dug. Firstly, the Veil pops up behind a door that the Doctor opens, and then later bursts through the soil when the Doctor has dug to the bottom. Both of these are super effective scares, with the Veil's elongated, blackened fingers reaching out to get him. However, to suggest that the Veil is the only source of nightmare fuel in this episode would be a massive lie. There are so many other scary aspects at play here, such as the fact that due to the way the Veil moves, if the Doctor lures it to the furthest part of the castle and then runs to the opposite furthest part, the absolute maximum amount of time he can get for breathing space is 82 minutes. No matter how hard he tries, that's his limit. 82 minutes before the Veil gets him again, at best. That's a really frightening concept because it adds tension. When you know there's a time limit and the clock is constantly ticking down, you either can't think straight or begin to overthink, and that can have a serious impact on your thought processes. Here, the Doctor's thoughts are presented in various clever means, because of course this is a one-hander episode, meaning that Peter Capaldi carries the entire thing single-handedly. He talks aloud to himself, thinks to himself with internal monologuing, and then further internal monologuing comes from imagining himself in the TARDIS console room talking to Clara about things. I couldn't imagine any of the other Doctors being able to do this episode. It's tailored to Capaldi's strengths as the Doctor, and he owns it. The Doctor is able to get a bit extra time away from the Veil by discovering that he can make honest confessions, and when doing so, it causes everything to stop, the Veil to retreat, and the geography of the castle to change. It's like every floor can rotate, but that also means that there are areas the Doctor cannot access unless he makes a confession, and vice versa, he can become cut off from certain areas when he does make one. Whatever room he enters, as soon as he leaves, it reverts back to its original state. At least that's what the episode says. I have a bit of a problem with this because there's a couple of rooms this doesn't work for. If I wanted to be nitpicky, there's the room where there's a set of the Doctor's clothes by the fireplace and the teleport room. Anyway, that aside, that's the rule that's pitched here. Eventually, after evading the Veil enough to find enough clues, the Doctor locates a glowing wall made of a substance that is 400 times harder than diamond, which he surmises has the TARDIS on the other side of it. He begins to punch away at the wall to try and break through, and okay, another nitpick. If this thing is 400 times harder than diamond, how does it make cracking sounds as if this feeble Scotsman's punches are having any kind of impact? Hadouken! Of course, the big twist of this episode is that the Doctor has been here and done this before, many times, and is doing it over and over again, constantly being killed by the Veil, not dying immediately due to Time Lord physiology, makes an agonizing crawl towards the teleport room over the course of a day and a half, and burns up the last of his energy to bring in a copy of himself to the teleport, who goes through the motions again and again and again for over 2 billion years. This is an excellent twist and poetically executed, but Come on, 400 times harder than diamond. Oh, and it's 20 feet thick. I don't care. It doesn't matter how many billions of years you try. You're not going to be able to punch through that with your bare knuckles. But that's a critique which has divided opinion a lot amongst the fandom. That aside, Heaven Sent is a gorgeous fable for grief and loss. However, the main source of nightmare fuel here, other than the veil of course, is the sheer amount of time the Doctor spends in the castle. Unbeknownst to him, he does the entire journey through the castle billions of times, and every single time he dies. Dying continuously, burning up his body just to create a new Doctor to go through the same agonizing journey. Not only does he die, he dies horrifically. He gets burned down by the veil, and over the course of a day and a half, every cell in his body begins to wither as he has to crawl through the castle up sets of stairs in total agony, only for his reward to be burning himself up. Our beloved hero kills himself billions of times just to ensure that in the future, one version of himself is able to get out. This does still pain me quite a bit in the knowledge that the original version of the Doctor died, and that the Doctor we now have is just a copy of the original Doctor from within the teleport. And back in the day when this aired, that pissed me off a lot. However, retrospectively, I can view Heaven Sent as purely magnificent television. It's one of the most brutal and horrific bits of science fiction ever put to the screen for this series. It's pure and remorseless to our hero, while also being a very touching metaphor for handling emotions of vengeance, loss, despair, pain, and the fear of death. The Doctor is faced with having to reveal deep secrets and bare his soul like never before, all just to give him a little extra time to physically and mentally suffer within the prison of this castle. And that is one rather large recurring dose of nightmare fuel. But what do you lot think of Heaven Sent? One of Moffat's best, or full of holes and nitpicks? Maybe a bit of both. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, and until next time, Ghoul Gang, I've been Connor from Unleash the Ghouls. I shall see you next time somewhere in time and space.